Right now, we are watching eUnited versus Singularity, where Singularity, they looked rejuvenated yesterday. Their roster changes helped them get their first win in Contenders Season 1. But eUnited, this is a team where they are the defending champions, and this will be one of their final opportunities to turn things around.
Yeah, absolutely. So eUnited, they've got to pull ahead now. This is do or die territory as it stands. They're up against Singularity, a team that, you know, with the first few weeks when it was a different roster, were perhaps an easy win for a team like eUnited. But now things have changed. Singularity, they've mixed it up. You know, they've got a few UK boys in there, and we all know how good the UK is at Overwatch. You know, obviously we're going to be the winners of the World Cup and all that. You know, we don't need to mention it too much. We're not too arrogant about it, but. Rightfully mentioned, 4 guys from the UK is currently playing in this matchup, 2 on either side, and you've got Boombox Cruz and Smex and, of course, Big Chris. I almost forgot his name there.
Well, in particular, you've set up a lover's quarrel right now, where one of the more entertaining stories of the Overwatch World Cup for Team UK was Cruz and Christopher and how they got along and how they, you know, both playfully gave each other a little bit of crap while they were playing, but friendly competition between the two. Bren, today, it's not going to be so friendly. Both teams are going to be out for blood.
Just banter at the end of the day, ZP. You know, it's in our blood. People from the UK, we just know how to banter well. But in this case, it is going to be going all out between these 2 guys. You know, Smex and Christopher are going to be up against Cruz and Boombox, of course, respectively. It's going to be the first map of Nepal. It's going to be an interesting one because I'm actually quite shocked that the analyst desk actually went for eUnited across the board when they were going with their predictions, because eUnited have not been looking as hot as they have been in the past. You know, this is the champions of Contenders Season 0 we're talking about. They just haven't really been playing on that sort of level they have been in the past, whereas this Singularity roster that we're now witnessing has definitely been impressing me as the games have been going on.
Singularity definitely looked very good, and even against their matchup against Bazooka Puppies, or sorry, against Misfits, they might have lost, but it was impressive. But now, Bren, the first fight is underway. Dive comp versus dive comp right now, and eUnited is taking the initiative as Cruz gets immediate first blood on Christopher. That's fitting.
Off the back of that, I mean, it's going to be Singularity have lost this fight straight off the bat. I mean, Kellex does get the boot kill there onto Shark at the tail end of this fight, which could turn things around for them. But realistically, when you lose 2 players, you've got such a disadvantage when it comes to the players, it's almost always going to mean that the first fight is going to be lost towards you. Still, Poppy Fresh looks to re-engage here, trying to get the kills onto the point, trying to basically contest it so it doesn't flip over, but eUnited are going to be in control of this first control point.
And now that we're watching both teams here with mirror compositions, eUnited has some better options here with their counter dive, where Singularity, they have to focus the point at some point. Otherwise, eUnited can rope-a-dope them. But now, we see them going in, the sound barrier's out.
That's a really fast sound barrier coming out from Singularity. They really took a number 2 to them. Smex has immediately picked up not only the D-Mech, but also a kill onto Valutage. We see the Primal Rage being used as well by Shark as he tries to stall this one out. The Transcendence by Boombox will heal him up as well. That's going to be beautiful for them. eUnited now looking to get some kills at the back of it, and indeed they have, already turning this scenario back into their favor.
And again, what we see there is the advantage of a defending team when you can match support ultimate for support ultimate, but wait a little bit longer. Keep your team up longer, and the Transcendence there really did ruin Singularity's engage, and now for Singularity, it's back to the drawing board, Bren. 50% versus 0. They're quickly going to be running out of time. This is a fight that is fairly important for them to take in their favor.
And need to be winning this one right now. Poppy Fresh falling very weak, but they do get the initial kill there. Shark ends up going down. That's the main tank out of the equation now for the side of eUnited, and Fisher is on cleanup duty with that tactical visor. He is just absolutely destroying the opposition, and it should be the recap here for Singularity. They're going to be able to get it under their control. eUnited only getting about 68% on the board, still a respectable amount. And now Singularity are in the driver's seat. They've got ults to hold on to it as well.
There's something to note there, though, is that eUnited did not match power for power there. They saved their sound barrier, and they're going to have it up for this next fight. Singularity isn't quite there yet, so eUnited has a window, and they're going to use it. The sound barrier's in, and they're going to roll right into Singularity, and that's self-destruct, the cherry on top.
Yeah, that's just immediately picked up the kill there onto the Zen player of Mr. Beck. With that lack of Discord Orbs, lack of healing, Christopher's going to be trying to stall this one out with the Primal Rage, but he's fallen so weak here. Not using his leap, already down to about 200 HP, has to hide around the corner, otherwise he's going to be falling down. And I played this quite intelligently, but in the end, he is going to end up falling to Morte. Still, the point being contested to Mr. Beck. That was a little bit too close for comfort there, but at the same time, Boombox is equaling it out as he does bring down Poppy Fresh. The point still being contested by Singularity as it stands, ZP. is this going to be turnable for them? With these kills and the D-Mech, I think it might be.
Well, Singularity hasn't lost control yet. Their respawns are coming back in, Bren, and there's the barrier. Doesn't hit too many people, but it's enough to give them full control here in this fight. Actually, I somewhat wonder if the barrier was needed, but Singularity, they were under pressure. They went for it anyways. And now it's up to eUnited, who did invest a bit into that last fight, didn't walk away with the point. They have to come in with a good fight here, otherwise Singularity is really 2 fights away from taking this round.
Yeah, and Singularity played that perfectly. It was exactly like Sideshow on the Analysts desk mentioned, you know, Singularity have to play it slow, and that's the play style that eUnited really just don't like playing too often, and they took the fight slowly and carefully, but now they're looking to re-engage. eUnited going to be moving in with the Transcendence, along with the Tactical Visor here, just going to be laying on these ultimates. Unfix will find the kill down to Poppy Fresh. The Postman by Valor gets sent out, but does not find the kills they're quite looking for. But what is that? Cruz, how does that even happen? How did you pick up a 3K from that?
Well, that is devastation, and that's Singularity not respecting the D.Va self-destruct as it came in. Cruz found the right moment to just thread that in over the top, and that was the boom that United needed. However, Singularity coming in here, Bren, they only need one more fight, and they will have the opportunity here as both teams are rather drained. Though, Morta almost does have that sound barrier up.
I mean, let's take a look at this triple kill with the self-destruct again, because I do not understand how this happened. Oh, it's threaded beautifully. How does it connect onto so many players? I'm not sure, but meanwhile, there's another team fight that's going to be kicking off between these two teams. Still 95% and counting in this first round. The point is starting to get contested here by Singularity. Currently no casualties, but the D-Mech comes out onto Cruz.
This is a very good beginning here for Singularity, and they're going to double down. The barrier is out. They're pushing in the eUnited. eUnited down a few players, going to come in with the Transcendence and Tac Visor, and that's able to even things out a bit. Now, it's a brawl on the point. The last few members remaining. Sharik in a 1-on-2, getting fired on by both sides, but Boombox rejoined the fight. It wasn't quite enough to keep him up. Now we're in overtime as Boombox goes searching for Mondada's gold in the pit.
This is such a dangerous scenario, and there you have it. The first round, when we go into Singularity, they flip it over. And I mean, I gotta say, you know, I was surprised by the Analysts' predictions of eUnited across the board. I think they were a little bit too hopeful, you know, thinking that eUnited are going to be playing with their previous performance. But this Singularity roster, you know, yes, they were playing against Bazooka Puppies, one of the weakest teams in the tournament, but they still had an incredible showing, and they are an actual fantastic team. I gotta say, you know, Singularity, I've got high hopes for them coming into this series, and, you know, eUnited, of course, the pressure's still there for them because they need to step it up if they want any chance of making it into the playoffs.
Well, the thing for the pressure on eUnited, too, is that prior to Contenders Season 1, this is a team where if you were building an Overwatch League team, you'd be looking heavily at most of the players here because they were a proven core. But the part where eUnited is sort of fallen off a cliff in performance here, that's really worrying for them. So the pressure on eUnited does extend more beyond just Contenders overall. There's reputations that these players need to defend.
Well, you can see composition-wise, there's going to be a mirror match between these two teams, running at 2-2-2 dive compositions. And right now, again, just poking, prodding, waiting for the point to unlock, waiting for that initial entry pick. Now, the real people to watch here is going to be the Zenyatta players, Boombox and Mr. Beck. If they can get those initial entry kills, the Discord orbs and whatnot, that's going to be big. But look at this aggression coming in. eUnited do not care. They're going to be trading out Sharkus as he falls there, but they do end up getting a kill each. Point almost going to be capped up here by the side of eUnited. Christopher falling quite low, does get the D-Mech with the Halber. Smacks here, so this is working in Singularity's favor to a degree.
So even though they traded out kills early on, Singularity was able to maintain their tank line. Christopher was making a lot of room for a long time here, and even though he finally falls, it's given space to Singularity as Fisher. Builds a Dragon Blade late into the fight, slicing his way through, and finally, Singularity does get control. This is the importance of keeping your tanks alive.
Cruz very weak, has to back off, but exactly right, you know, keeping your tanks alive. It's that slow play style, ZP, that Singularity are excelling at, because eUnited, they just don't really know how to play around it, you know, and it is working absolute wonders for them. Singularity can just take these fights as slowly as they want, you know, poking, prodding, waiting for eUnited to initiate in and then capitalizing off their mistakes. But now we see them, ZP, here comes the second initiation.
Cruz says, I have a blade too, going the roll in, gets one early on, gets forced out, but the damage has been done. Both supports down very early on here for Singularity, and yet they're still fighting back, trying to buy a bit of time. eUnited should have a strong sustain advantage here because of that opening, and yet Singularity, they're not going down here just yet.
Yeah, Christopher's going to be using that Primal Raise to just really stall this one out, and Fisher will fall as well as he gets ran down there by Shaq. Crew's going to be trying his hardest to really stay alive. We'll pick up the health pack for the time being, but the Pulse Bomb gets sent out. Christopher again falling. eUnited just really is utilizing his ultimate as well to try and find whatever targets they possibly can. Still the point in control of Singularity as it stands. It's going to be forcing out the Transcendence from Boombox. They really using a whole load of ultimates to try and take this one, and it's still being contested, CP.
eUnited's cleanup, both last round and this round, it's been messy. They let Singularity get back into this fight even after taking out their sustain. You have to be better at finishing people off, and now eUnited, they're stuck in more of a brawl. They have to invest the sound barrier, but Singularity, they're coming right back. Here comes the blade from Fisher. Grab Sharik, look for more, gets Cruz. Fisher is bringing this back for Singularity.
It's just straight up saying, psh, nothing personal, kid, as he just slices Cruz into the back. But goodness me, I mean, this is crazy. Singularity are just taking it to eUnited. eUnited have committed so many ultimates, and they've got absolutely nothing in this engagement. 5% more, and Singularity are going to be taking map number 1. And eUnited, they're nowhere to be seen whatsoever. The overtime will tick down. Is there anyone to get onto the point? Value is there, ZP, but is it going to be enough?
The flankers of eUnited have gone back into the fight. Cruz, no, he goes down. He's not able to get the blade out. He built up the ultimate, but falls. Now Voltalia, down to his last half of HP. Under assault here, trying to buy time against the odds, but he is outgunned and he is gone. Overtime now in progress. Sharik's gonna buy a little bit of time here, Bren. And now look at Cruz. Cruz has a blade. Can he get back here in time? Overtime ticking down, and no, there will be no blade, and there will be no win for eUnited. Singularity is gonna take map number 1.
And honestly, that was just textbook stuff from Singularity. They played that superbly well. At the end of the day, you know, the analysts made mention to it. It's the slower play style that Singularity needed to play if they were going to take it to eUnited, and they've definitely done that. Now, the question is, ZP, what do eUnited do now to turn this one around? Because, you know, the analysts, they predicted it across the board. eUnited was supposed to be taking this series. What do they need to change? What do they need to mix up?
This might seem simplistic, but finish their plate. And by that, I mean, there were multiple fights where they started out very well, and then they sort of overdove, they got off the objective, they weren't able to actually finish off Singularity in the way that you should when you get those early pickoffs. And that was most apparent in that final fight there on Nepal, where they took down both supports for Singularity, and then they somehow weren't able to get Singularity off the point before reinforcements came back in. And yes, that might have been very good tank play coming out from Singularity, but it doesn't matter. You have a huge edge. You need to capitalize.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going to be looking forward to eUnited's gameplay for map number 2 at least. So,
all right, well, we're going to be taking a quick break. When we come back, map number 2 will be underway. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Season 1 for Europe. I'm ZP, rejoined here by Bren once more. And Bren, going into the next map here for eUnited, is it any surprise that they would bring us to Numbani?
No surprises at all. I mean, this is eUnited. It's a classic map for them, almost their bread and butter. You know, it's a map that they're very comfortable on throughout, their history as a team together, even when they were back on Reunited and whatnot. So no doubts in my mind that they were going to be going to Numbani. The question is, how are they going to deal with the Singularity problem? Because Singularity have been taken into eUnited. They've sort of clocked them in a way with their play style, in the way that they're going about taking these team fights. At eUnited, they need to turn something around. You know, it's all well and good going to one of your favorite maps, but the question is, can you still take it to the team that has figured you out?
I would say a big problem right now for eUnited, and we haven't touched on too much, but I do wonder if eUnited's tank line is really performing up to the standards that we could expect here, because when you look at situations where eUnited does things like kills both supports and then doesn't win the team fight, that's a matter of control. Yeah. It's not just your DPS players that are going and finishing things out, it's your tank players coming in and putting those other remaining players in such a bad situation that they can't live anymore. And I feel like eUnited is doing a very poor job of controlling space, even in fights that they should otherwise be winning.
I mean, we might not necessarily be in the triple tank meta anymore, ZP, but it is still, extremely important. The tank role in Overwatch in the current meta game is so important. You need to be able to peel for your supports constantly. You need to be able to communicate as well effectively as a team with the targets jumping on the right times, because if you're not prepared as a team, your Winston player is just going to get absolutely demolished. There's so much that can actually just destroy a Winston when he's leaping into the fray. You got the Discord orbs and various other means of bringing him down, the double hit scan and whatnot. But moving into this one, let's talk about these compositions, because eUnited have got something crazy planned. They've got Morte on the Torbjorn.
And this is where Numbani was at one point called the lab. This is where teams are very willing to come in and experiment, and it's great to see Torbjorn back in the play. We've seen United do this in the past, and the reason why they're going with the Ana here is that they don't have the second support, so the Ana can give you a little bit more healing power relative to other supports in that role. But now, against this offensive Singularity, which is running double flanker dive, we'll see if this Torb is effective in buying United the space that they need.
Just look at how patient Singularity are being as well with absolutely everything here. They're not waiting, they're not just jumping into the fray without really getting a good information. And Fisher, he brings down the turret, and that might be the initiation they do actually need. See, the peel is there from Unfixed as he moves onto the backline to Fisher, but it's going to be Shard who falls immediately off the back of it. Morte as well. That means no more going to be building up the ammo packs and whatnot for their team. And with these follow-up kills, the DMX coming out from Unfixed, Fisher on 5 HP. I mean, look at how much cap time they've already got, ZP. It's already on 2 ticks.
This is ridiculous. Singularity just took their time and slowly went onto the point and powered over United. Yeah. United's defense was practically non-existent here. That should not happen, especially for a team as experienced on this map as they were. Now, just to throw it back to the Torb here, Bren, do you think the Torb was effective, and if not, why?
I mean, I don't agree with the Torbjorn at all. I mean, I understand why teams do it, and it makes sense in theory, because if you win the first initial team fight, you can build up ammo packs. But all it means now is, because now that eUnited have immediately lost that initial team fight, they've had to switch Morte onto the Lucio pretty late, which means he's got no ultimate at all, whereas Kellex is working off 80%. But here comes the initiation. We see Cruz using the Dragon Blade, but he actually gets shut down, I believe, straight off the back. He's still into the back line, so it's going to be ultimates being used to try and negate that one out. Singularity still coming out on top in the team fight.
Cruz tried to be a hero there, where he dove in way ahead of the rest of his team. eUnited was just barely moving in, and what did we see there? We saw Poppy Fresh just cut apart their backline. He took down the Ana, and then he also took down Sharik, who was trying to retreat off of a somewhat miffed engage. That is really bad for eUnited, because now what we're seeing from Singularity is an incredible amount of momentum, and certainly an ult advantage that should give them this next fight.
It's a dangerous situation right now for eUnited. I mean, they've just switched Boombox as well off the Ana onto the Zenyatta. So again, they're going to be missing that ult advantage. But at the end of the day, look at this. The peel onto the back lines. All the supports are falling on the side of eUnited. There's no clear way to say this, but Cruz answers back. The switch strike through Fisher will bring him down, trying to even it out to a degree. Going to be contesting the point up. Now we see the Primal Rage going to be used by Sharek, just knocking him around the point. They are getting the picks off the back of this, but Singularity, man, still finding this damage, finding the kills. And ZP, this is going to be a cracking time as it rolls into the second checkpoint.
Singularity, they're keeping the momentum going forward here. That wasn't a bad defense by eUnited, given what they've been working with here, where they're buying time, and they force Singularity to use a lot of their ultimate reserve. However, because Singularity did have more ults to burn, they were able to recover from those early pickoffs and still power through the second point. So, Bren, we're down to 5 minutes here. We know Numbani, though. eUnited, they have what it takes to potentially hold here for a long time. Yeah,
Numbani third checkpoint, this last stretch into the final checkpoint here is notorious for just being very difficult to try and push into. Valitaja goes for the pulse bomb attempt, does stick it onto the side of Smex, tries to bring him down to DMEC, but that will force the Transcendence out now by Singularity. They want to take it forward. And again, it's this slow, methodical playstyle that is just bringing the numbers straight to them. Now Cruz tries to answer back, brings out the blade, but it's going to be getting nothing as Christopher just beats him into mush into the corridors of Numbani.
Christopher is probably having a good chuckle over that one. Just knowing their history, he's like, yeah, I slammed him into the wall. What of it? What of it, Cruz? And what of it indeed, because that was eUnited's time to get some stability. Singularity, they've gotten through that choke point that is so difficult right now, and they're keeping it moving forward. It's going to be barrier versus transcendence here, but here's the boom in over the top.
Smex using a self-destruct, going to be trying to lead it in, does pick up the kill onto Morte. That's big. That's huge. That's going to be no sound barrier for this follow-up fight. Now to follow it up, Fisher still has a Dragon Blade. He doesn't even need to use it. Finally now, going to be pulling this bad boy out as he looks to try and clean it up now for the side of Singularity. With almost 4 minutes on the clock, it rolls in, and that is speed at its finest. My goodness, Singularity have just done a number over eUnited.
Let's just go back to the history here. This is supposed to be eUnited's best map.
Yeah.
Not just for hybrid, but overall. This is when eUnited could choose any map in the pool. In other tournaments, they would go to Numbani more than any other map. And they didn't just lose Numbani, they got crushed on Numbani.
It's crazy. That is a phenomenal time. You know, 3 minutes, 44 seconds is absolutely crazy stuff, you know, in the grand scheme of things, because Numbani, as I mentioned before, traditionally it's been a map that can be quite hard to complete into the final moments. So the fact that Singularity have managed to just absolutely dismantle eUnited with their playstyle, you know, waiting for them to make the mistakes is kind of crazy, because it's almost unheard of. You know, even the analyst desk, I'm going to keep mentioning this, guys, you know, you're going to be having a bad track record because you guys were predicting eUnited off the back of Singularity's, you know, great performance. You know, I'm going to be raising some question marks over that.
Well, I think that's a case where it's sort of a testament to where people view Bazooka Puppies in terms of how big of a statement was it for Singularity to defeat them, where they were struggling all season long. People know eUnited's history. These are the defending Season 0 champions.
Yeah.
People want to believe that eUnited can bring things back, but we haven't seen eUnited's strong points come in at all. In fact, their strong points are now weak points. You're not seeing Boombox get early pickoffs. Valitaja at points has been invisible. And then you take a look at their ult economy, which historically has been very good. You see them throwing ults into lost fights and just desperation attempts, frustration, whatever it may be. This right now is not the eUnited of old.
It's quite difficult to sort of tell what eUnited are thinking at this moment of time, but I gotta say as well, the way Singularity are playing this slow pace, it makes it so much more harder for Boombox to get those initial kills like he traditionally, you know, like he used to do. And you can see he's going for the pre-fire shots just there, tries to pick it up, does get a bit of damage onto Unfix, but at the end of the day, Singularity are playing so passive and so patient, they're not really letting anything happen here. But again, Boombox is the man we're watching for this one as he looks to try and get the entry kills.
Boombox off on his own, but no pressure on him early on. eUnited, they go straight up the gut here to begin with. 5 on 5, but this is a decent beginning. Cruz gets to the back, gets the support he's looking for, as Valitaja is now just able to dart around the point. Plenty of targets in his way, but he's also not finding any great moments here. He's sort of wandering around and ends up dying. If he did just a little bit more there, Bren, that could have been a different fight.
Could have been, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, if you compare Poppy Fresh's ult percentage to Valitaja, you can sort of realistically see the amount of damage they were doing in that fight. Poppy Fresh almost with the pulse bomb, Valitaja only 50% of the way there, you know. That just tells you the amount of impact that they were having during that fight. And now, come on, eUnited, they're going to have to reset this one up. They're going to have to go for the repush attempt. But Singularity's team fight, their potential, their fundamentals seem to be on another level.
Well, eUnited, they're going to go up the gut here once more, going for the high ground on the right side. Answered back by Singularity right away, though. The Pulse Bomb in takes down Cruz, and Poppy Fresh really making his presence known here. 2 vital kills, and Fisher will finish what he was starting. Diving right in with him, and again, forcing eUnited away, making them reset. They're down to their final 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy, to be honest, because winning these fights off the back of it, Singularity have built up this ult advantage. Yes, eUnited are holding on to ultimates of their own. They've got Cruz with the Dragon Blade, but he's going to have to go ham with this. I mean, their window is gone now. Kellex with the Sound Barrier means that he's not going to be getting anything with it. He's only really realistically going to be forcing out an ultimate. The win condition for eUnited here, they need to bring down Kellex before he can get this Sound Barrier off.
United now, they're going to take the opportunity. They get the early pick off. That's big. Cruz now has the Dragon Blade, which can be the finisher. They're down Sharik, but they still have options. There's the barrier from Singularity. This is going to make Cruz wait a little bit longer, but you see United. They back out. Now the blade is underway. Slicing through this mech, looking for more. No, Cruz is just under assault by 3 members, and he doesn't care. He fights it back as well as could be expected. Now we'll see if United can still take this point.
I love that Chris just commits the Primal Rage there in the close quarters to bring down Cruz, and it looks like eUnited are potentially going to be turning this one around right now. Boombox getting ran down in the end, about 40 HP, but unfortunately not going to be doing much against the Tesla cannon, but still the point is going to start to get capped up here. eUnited are going to be winning this team fight off the back of that. Realistically, Singularity there, I mean, maybe they overcommitted onto Cruz into close quarters. They also weren't counting on the fact that he was going to pick up that Mega Health Pack. He was about to die, but he managed to get the Mega Health Pack and get one more swing in to get the kill, I believe, onto Poppy Fresh. So that actually did swing things massively into eUnited's favor.
I think it also shows what a threat Cruz is when Singularity's game plan to deal with Cruz is send 3 people to fight him in a tiny building when he's pulling out a katana. I mean, you think about that for a second, it's like, wow. They really don't want Cruz to kill them.
Really doesn't make sense, does it? You know, it's just why would you take a sword fight in the close quarters like that? But regardless of that ZP, Singularity, they want to be moving in with this one. The Transcendence gets used. Boombox gets brought down immediately here. And Smek's following up as well, so it's looking like a successful defense for the time being from Singularity.
So there's 2 things going against United right now. One is that Singularity set a blazingly fast time early on, so they're already behind the 8 ball and then some. The second thing that is really hurting eUnited here is that just to get a successful attack on last, to keep their hope alive, you generally need a decent amount of time for that, and they've burnt up a lot of their time on first, and now a decent amount of time on second. But we go into this next fight. They have the Transcendence up early. Kellex is going to be a little bit away from the Sound Barrier. There is a window here if they can take it, but they're not going to hit it as Kellex is about to get his barrier up.
Again, they need to bring down Kellex almost immediately if they want to try and win this next team fight. I mean, he's already built up the Sound Barrier. If they can try and bring him down, it will mean a win for them. But Fisher, he's going to be going down to the boot there from Morte. Valentaja follows it up with his own kill. So 2 picks already. That's pretty big for them. The Self-Destruct gets sent out here by Smex. Doesn't actually find anything. In fact, Boombox is going to be also putting in the damage as he just brings down Poppy Fresh.
So slightly better engaged from United here. Shriek did get picked off early, but unfixed, able to deal with a little bit more control. Sound Barrier in from Singularity late. That only hit 2 people, Bren. That was a panic. That was a mistake. And eUnited, they're going to capitalize here by likely taking second.
I'm not keen on that Sound Barrier whatsoever. That was actually quite honestly hot garbage. I think that's the only way to describe that, because I can understand the game plan in Kellex's mind. He wanted to try and stall it out, but he only connected it onto himself, and I believe Poppy Fresh, the only 2 players that could possibly stall that one out. And, you know, at the end of the day, they were taking a 2v6 scenario, not really going to be working out in their favor. But ZP now going to be moving into this next team fight. We see ults across online for both these teams, Dragon Blades, support ults as well. What's going to be kicking off here?
Well, Valtai was looking for the early pressure on the Fisher. I think he actually had a pulse bomb attempt there that he didn't go for, didn't want to invest it, but now he's out of the fight while Singularity dives into eUnited. They take the opportunity. They're pushing them back, but United, they have a pretty good disengage here. Now United is counter-engaging with the Transcendence of their own. Both teams investing a lot here, Bren, but here's the key note. The payload's not moving. This is still good for Singularity, so long as they don't overcommit too much.
Yeah, they were really just slamming bodies into the back line here. Christopher might just get this kill onto Boombox. Not quite. Boombox is there with the right-click charge up. Look at this aggression by Singularity, taking it all the way into their spawn here. Self-Destruct gets sent off onto the corner here. Most likely not going to be connecting onto anyone indeed. And they're just going to continue to push this one forward. eUnited have ults to use. The Dragon Blade, the Sound Barrier, they can really propel and get a bit of momentum off the back of this.
And it'd be nice if they got a good tank initiation as well. And most most of these fights, we're seeing Shriek die early. It's eUnited bringing this back with their tanks and supports, where Unfix and Shriek have had tough times. Shriek, he was forced into the Primal Rage early into this fight. Now eUnited, they have to kind of engage here in a rough circumstance. Morta holding on to the barrier in the back. But now with Mr. Beck down, I think eUnited's going to invest here. Barrier out from Singularity, but Morta goes down. That's huge.
That's a big pick. That's going to be no sound barrier now for eUnited to try and stagger this fight out. And losing Boombox as well means off the back of this, it's most likely going to be a loss for eUnited unless somebody can really clutch it out. Cruz is on a sliver of HP, has to back out of there with the Dragon Blade, just not able to really get the damage going. But now, a minute and a half CP. Singularity, still with the defense. I mean, this rapid pace that Singularity has set, it's really going to be hurting eUnited now, because even if they get a capture point here and now, it's going to mean a very, very steep hill for them to climb to try and actually claim this map away from Singularity.
Well, it gets even worse than that. They have to do it with the second remaining on the clock, or they don't even get another attack. So Singularity, they're with an enormous advantage right now, at least in terms of the overall macro level of the map. eUnited, this is probably their best opportunity to bring this through. 2 support ultimates, Cruz at the blade, but Singularity, they take the fight to them. eUnited's pushed back. They're already spread out here, and now a Panic Transcendence comes out as volume goes down.
Yeah, this is actually pretty abysmal now for eUnited, already losing that one player. The Dragon Blade's now going to be sent out here by Fisher as he moves into the back lines. That is a wonderful shuriken by Cruz. He might have just turned this one around for his team. 1/2/3/4. He's looking for the Lucio. He's going for it, but not quite going to be finding that initial kill. He tried to turn it around. Cruz definitely picked up the entry kills. Is it going to be enough?
Right now, it's really much in question. Singularity, they make space, they get Morta, the respawns are coming in, and Cruz is trying to make sense of the chaos right now, Bren, in those fights, where the tanks are not controlling for him. He has to move in and around, and though he gets 4 kills, Singularity still has firm control of the fight the entire way through. 3 seconds left remaining. Now we'll see if eUnited can go for the overtime miracle.
Yeah, Cruz trying so hard to clutch this one out, but unfortunately not going to be good enough now. As you mentioned, it's the overtime miracle. The sound barrier going to be used by Singularity. They have to play this so smartly. Holtzman gets sent out, Boombox switching over to the Soldier 76 in the final moments to get back into the fight quickly, but it's just not going to be good enough as the overtime finishes it out, and Singularity going to be taking map number 2 against eUnited on their home map here of Numbani. An impressive display nonetheless.
In any of these fights that we're watching towards the end, eUnited was never able to get what you could call a clean engagement, where they were a little bit scattered on that last engage, certainly spread out. You didn't have a great leap in between Shriek and Unfix that was able to set the stage. And what happens? Volatile tries to go a little bit deep to give them some control, ends up getting picked off. The Transcendence comes in late, and overall, just a really messy fight when eUnited did have an opportunity to at least even it out a bit.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I got to say, Singularity have been playing out of their minds. Much better than I sort of foresaw against eUnited, because, I mean, everyone was sort of making the assumptions that eUnited was going to step it up a lot more, step it up to the previous levels that they were playing at in the past. Just hasn't happened, you know. And Singularity, they've just exploited time and time again the weaknesses that eUnited have been showing in the previous weeks.
All right, well, guys, we're going to be taking a quick break. When we come back, the desk will have to defend their eUnited pick for this first half.